Hey friends, this is Angela from Art of Creation Homestead. You're in the kitchen with me again. And today we are making old-fashioned pineapple upside down cake. Now to get started, you will want to preheat your oven to 350 degrees. Now you'll want to set your racks in a certain position. You want to set your bottom rack one up from the bottom, and you want to set your top rack one down from the top, because that's going to be important later. So in this pie plate, this is about a 9.5 to 10 inch pie plate. It's kind of in between the two, so I'll say 9.5 to 10 inch glass pie plate. We have a half a stick, which is a fourth of a cup, which is also 4 tablespoons of unsalted butter. Now, because our oven is nice and preheated, I'm going to go ahead and throw this in the oven to let it melt instead of worrying about it popping all over the microwave and all of that junk. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this in the oven and let this melt. Now our butter is nicely melted, and to this we are going to add a half cup of firmly packed light brown sugar. And you're just going to sprinkle that evenly over your butter, because it's going to make a nice caramel. But you don't want to overdo it with the caramel. Now you want to take a spoon and kind of force it around. You don't want any thick spots and thin spots. You want to take a spoon and kind of force it around. And in the process, you're kind of mixing it together almost. You want it to be a pretty even layer. And it's hard to sprinkle brown sugar in an even layer, so you may have to substitute with a spoon to get it in an even layer. Now, we have our pineapples and our cherries. We have them all laid out here on paper towel to blot them dry, because you don't want all that juice in there. As you can see, I've cut some of these in half. This is 10 pineapple rings. I got them in natural juice. That's the way I like them. If you don't like them in natural juice and you like them in syrup, get them in syrup. I have drained them, but reserve the juice because you're going to need some of that for the cake. You need 10 pineapple rings, which is a 20-ounce can. I've got 6 of them whole, and I've cut the rest of them in half. And I'll show you what we do. I may need to piece together one of those halves, but we'll see. And then over here, I have some maraschino cherries that I have blotted dry. Now, if you don't like maraschino cherries, you don't have to put those in. But I will tell you a little secret that I just found out for the first time today. You can tell that these are not traditional maraschino cherries because they're not that glowing red. These are natural. They have no artificial colors in them, no red dye number 40, no high fructose corn syrup, just good ingredients. And if you don't typically like maraschino cherries, but you love cherries, try this brand. They are amazing. I tried them for the first time ever today, and they have the best flavor. They taste like cherries, not like junk. So, there's my public service announcement. Okay, now we're going to start putting our pineapples down. Like I told you, I may have to piece one of those together because I never know how many it's going to take. So you want to put one in the center, and you want to start putting them all around. Nestle them down in your caramel, basically. You want to work them all the way around your center one. And we'll see if we have to piece one together. Yep, gonna have to piece one together. So keep 7 whole and only cut 3 in half. I make that mistake a lot. But you know what? She's gonna be pretty anyways, so it don't matter. So now we are going to take these beautiful maraschino cherries and we are going to drop them in the holes of our pineapple rings on the bottom. And now I'll show you what we're going to do with the halves. You're going to place them in your pie plate with the cut side up and the curved side down. And you're going to place them in between your pineapple circles all around. Just like that. That way you have pineapple on the sides of your cake as well. Now the rest of these maraschino cherries, you can just tuck in to the little open spots. And you can do as many or as few as you want. I'm probably only going to do just right around the circle center. I'm probably not going to do around the edges, because those, when you turn it out, may have a tendency to fall out. Oh, a short one. Well, if Jason was here, he'd no doubt be making a comment about my height, because yes, for those of you who don't know, I am short. So see, I've just done it around the circle, around the center one. But you can do it in all these spots around there too. Now, we are ready to make our cake. You need to set this out of the way, and we'll start making our cake. Now, you can use a hand mixer or a stand mixer, either one, to do this. It will work either way. But I'm going to use a hand mixer today to show you a simpler way. Now, in this bowl, we have 1 stick, which is a 1/2 cup, or 8 tablespoons of softened, unsalted butter. It's been softened at room temperature. See, when I push on it, it'll easily push down and leave an indentation. And I have 3/4 cup of granulated sugar. Now I'm just gonna beat this up until it's nice and smooth. Now all your sugar is nicely incorporated and it's nice and smooth. So now we are going to add 2 whole eggs, 1 at a time, whipping them nice and good between each addition. Now you can see it's all nice and creamy. So now we are going to beat in 2 teaspoons. You know, I don't measure vanilla, but roughly measured 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, preferably pure. You'll end up with a much better end product. And now we are going to add 2 tablespoons of that reserved pineapple juice from the can. Now, you can go ahead and mix that in with your electric mixer. Mix it until nice and smooth. You don't have to worry about it forming gluten or anything like that. Now, at this point, see, it's almost going to look a little weird and almost a little curdled. It's fine. It's going to come out just perfect. That's actually the way you want it to look right now. So now, for our dry ingredients. On this piece of wax paper, I have 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. I have 1.5 teaspoons of baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and this is 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I know that sounds a little crazy, but cornstarch will help things keep its moisture, and it will also lighten up your flour. I'm just using my hands to just kind of toss it all together. It will also lighten up your flour. For those of you who don't know, cake flour is actually a mix of flour, of all-purpose flour, and cornstarch. So this is going to be essentially kind of like a cake flour. So now you have no more need of your electric mixer, and we are going to start folding this in by hand. But we are going to alternate with a 1/2 cup of buttermilk. I use whole milk buttermilk. Now, we are going to, you want to start and end with dry ingredients. So we are going to add this in 3 parts. We're going to add the dry ingredients in 3 parts. So we're going to add 1/3. And we're going to fold it in. Just be very gentle. You don't want to overwork that gluten. So you want to get it all mixed in till you see no more dry pockets. You don't want to see any more dry pockets or any more dry flour mixture up on the sides of your bowl. You want to mix it all in really nicely. I tell you, Mom used to make pineapple upside down cake a lot for Sunday dinners when I was growing up. But I tell you, overnight, my middle sister would sneak into the refrigerator and she'd pick off every stinking pineapple off that cake. The next morning we'd get up and there'd be no pineapples left on top of that cake. Mom would get so mad. So now you're going to add 1/2 of your buttermilk mixture. Well, not mixture, just half of your buttermilk. She would always leave the cake, but eat all the pineapples off the top of it. So you want to mix this in. Now that's all mixed in. So now you're going to add the second third of your flour mixture. And that buttermilk, you can do just regular milk, but your cake isn't going to be as moist or as flavorful. That buttermilk is going to make your cake so much more flavorful and so much more moist. And I don't know about you guys, but I don't like a dry pineapple upside down cake. I like my pineapple upside down cake nice and moist. The cake part to be nice and moist. So you want to make sure that there's no dry pockets on the bottom of there. Because if you get a dry pocket when you're starting to put your batter in your pan, it's not going to be a good thing. So now we're going to add the rest of our buttermilk. Make sure you scrape that measuring cup out. You don't want to miss any of that. And now you want to stir that all in. But like I've told you, be very gentle with the stirring. You saw me doing it, because you don't want to overwork that gluten, because it'll make for a tough cake. You don't want a tough cake. Even though I got to tell you, buttermilk will tenderize this cake tremendously. Buttermilk is a great tenderizer. You can even marinate your meat in it, and you'll get the tenderest meat, because the acid, because it is cultured, the acid from it, it tenderizes everything that it touches. So now we are going to add our last installment of the flour, and we are going to fold that last installment in, and you are going to end up with an absolutely beautiful cake batter that's going to be nice and smooth and velvety, that you never thought would happen when you saw that mess that looked like a curdled mess that was just ruined. Don't get scared. It's not ruined. Now we have brought back our beautiful bottom with all the pineapples and cherries, and we are going to slowly and carefully put this over the top. Very slowly, very carefully, because you don't want to disturb everything with this batter. You do not want to disturb everything. So you are going to very carefully. I can sometimes have a tendency to be a bull in a china shop, so I have to say this multiple times for my own benefit. Carefully, Angela, carefully. For those of you who don't know, according to Jason, this is not true, but I know the truth. I am a klutz, and I have a tendency, like I said, to sometimes be a bull in a china shop. So you have to be really gentle with this. You have to be really gentle with this baby. Just kind of spread it out to the edges. It will bake the rest of the way out. It's fine. It will bake the rest of the way out on its own. Now we're all in the pan, but as you can see, that butter is starting to seep up around the sides. And if you're like me and you're not into cleaning your oven, I would suggest you take out a little insurance policy on this. You take a cookie sheet, line it with some parchment paper, set this on that cookie sheet. There you go. Now you've got a nice insurance policy taken out on this whole thing. And now if it bubbles over, it's going to bubble onto this. Now we're going to put this in our preheated 350-degree oven. The reason I told you to set the racks like you did, this is going to take a little bit to bake. This could take as much as 40 to 45 minutes to bake for the cake to get done. It may not take that long. We'll have to wait and see. But in that time, your bottom part could start getting a little brown. So at about the 20-minute mark, when things start to get nice and brown, go ahead and raise that to the rack that I told you to put one notch below the top. That way it will ease the browning on the bottom, and it will bake the top and brown the top to perfection. So I'll be back and show you what it looks like when we pop it out of the oven. Okay, this beauty is out of the oven. It baked for exactly 45 minutes. As you can see, it cracked just a little bit on top, but that's fine because this isn't your beauty shot. Your beauty shot is when you turn it over. But it baked for exactly 45 minutes in my oven. It will usually bake between 40 and 45 minutes. It smells divine. You will know it's done when you push on it and it feels a little firmer. And if you do the toothpick test, you want to pull out moist crumbs, not completely dry. If it's completely dry, by the time it carryover cooks, it will be overbaked. Now, it baked for 20 minutes on the bottom rack. Well, the second from the bottom. It baked for 25 minutes on the second from the top. That keeps your topping, your pineapple and everything from burning. Now, this is crucial. You do not want to let this completely cool in your pan. You want to only let it sit a minimum of 5 minutes, a maximum of 10 minutes. No more than 10 minutes. Usually I let it go somewhere in between, about 7 minutes. That's how you will get your perfect flip. If you let it completely cool, you will never get it out of this pan and you won't get that perfect flip. So I'm going to let mine sit and then I'll show you the perfect flip. I'm a little nervous about doing the flip on camera, but I'll try. Now, it's been the good amount of time to wait. Now you want to take a butter knife and you just want to bounce it up and down, running it around the edges to make sure you're loosened from the pan. Be careful, the reason I'm bouncing it up and down, be careful with your pineapples that are on the edges because you can break those up a lot by doing this. And you don't want to move them out of their place either because that, you won't get a perfect flip then. So now, I'm a little nervous. The reason I like to use a pie plate like this, it has these handles, which makes it much easier to grab a hold of to do that flip. If you don't have the handles, it's going to be a little rougher. Now, I'm going to put my plate over the top. A little nervous, a little bit nervous about doing it on camera. Now be very careful because it's very hot. Now, you ready to see if it can come out perfect? Let's go. Ha ha! It come out absolutely perfect. Look at that. Now, these two cherries right here, they wanted to sink down below the surface. If you have that problem, just take your knife and push back your caramel off of them and nudge them up top just a little bit. That way you can see them better. And look at that. Isn't that absolutely gorgeous? And it smells insanely good. I can't wait for Jason to taste this. But first, it needs to cool a little bit. Because if it don't, he's gonna burn his pie hole severely. And by the way, the insurance policy was worth the time taking it out because this did bubble over and now I don't have to clean the oven.
Now for the real results, right? The old taste test. Look at that. Beautiful piece of cake. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. A delicious, amazing pineapple upside down cake. What more did you expect though, really, truly? Angela Kay absolutely killed it. So wonderful. Now look, you can either eat this, room temperature, hot, cold, whatever. It doesn't need to go in the fridge if you're not going to finish it all in one sitting, which obviously we're not going to, so it does need to go in the fridge. And personally, a fruit cake, like a cake with fruit, basically, not a fruit cake, but a cake with fruit, I kind of enjoy eating cold once it's in the fridge. But like, this is room temperature right here, just because it's day of. So delicious, so good. I'm really excited to turn this camera off and get to finish eating this cake because it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. And thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. My name is Jason. That's Smart One. Her name is Angela Kay. This is our Art of Creation Homestead. We love you all. God bless you and goodbye.